bill forward. Fast forward to this evening and a downgrade from Moody's, and this bill might be in even more trouble than it already was. And joining us now for more reaction to this here on Bloomberg TV and radio is this evening's political panel. Republican strategist Maura Gillespie, founder of BlueStack Strategies, alongside Democratic strategist Jim Kessler, executive vice president for policy at Third Way. Welcome to you both. Maura, of course, you've spent plenty of time in the House, including working for a speaker. I can't imagine that Mike Johnson is feeling very good about what Moody's is saying here, as it specifically talks about fiscal policy proposals under consideration. Did he just lose any chance of being able to negotiate his way to this bill passing this weekend?
It certainly made things a lot harder for Speaker Johnson. I'll remember when Speaker Boehner was working with then former President Obama, trying to hash out some of these budget conversations that are certainly going to keep coming up over the course of these next few days, next weeks, next months. But to think about where the debt is now to where it was even during the Boehner days, it's more than doubled. And Moody's putting this out there certainly does not help Speaker Johnson or the Budget Committee on Sunday as they try to move this bill forward. And I do think that it just adds fuel to the fire for those strongholds who felt very, passionately about not enough cuts being made. And so this is only going to bolster their position, I think, in keeping them from fully supporting it as it currently is written.
Wow. Jim, did the earth just shift under Speaker Mike Johnson's feet? Yeah, it just did. I mean, this bill was in trouble. Now it's in really serious trouble. The Moody's downgrade, the credit downgrade, it just gives huge impetus to the hardliners, the Freedom Caucus, that really want a dramatically more brutal, harsh bill. It hurts the Salt Caucus folks that want bigger deductions for salt. Will they get to something in the end? Of course you have to, but this bill is going to have to radically change. The radicals on the right just got a big win. Wow.
Well, those radicals on the right, though, at least some of them, have a history of changing their votes when the president calls. Do you think that will be the case this time, Jim?
I also think that since April 2nd, Liberation Day, and April 9th, the withdrawal of Liberation Day, we've seen a very diminished president where people are much more willing, both abroad and at home in his GOP caucus, to stand up to the president. And I just don't think he has the power that he did 6 weeks ago.
Wow. Maura, what are the speaker's options right now? As a veteran of another Republican speaker's office, what are the menu of options for Mike Johnson? There are still 11 spending bills out there, right? They could be combined in many different forms over the course of the next couple of weeks.
Absolutely. And one of the things that has not really been explored, at least to my knowledge, in this speakership, is the fact that we know that the bill is going to change no matter what happens, right? It goes to the Senate side, and the Senate has already, many of the members there have talked about that this bill, as it was currently drafted, is dead on arrival when it comes to the Senate. So perhaps then Mike Johnson wants to go ahead and reach out to John Thune and say, what are some of those changes that are going to be made? Because if you're going to ask the president to come in and strong-arm those members to pass his agenda, because that's what this bill is. This one big, beautiful bill is Trump's agenda. This is what the president wants. It's in there. And so Speaker Johnson may want to go and talk to Thune and say, how do we get this across the finish line for the president? What are some things that we need to be doing? And I think until this point, maybe those conversations haven't happened because the House really felt strongly about taking this on their own. But now I do think it's time that they make those outreach efforts. I also think, with the president's talking about different things that are going to be so costly, again, with the Alcatraz, maybe that's not the best idea, spending millions to create Alcatraz. Maybe you don't accept a foreign gift of a plane that's going to have to be taken apart piece by piece and then reconstructed, costing another millions and millions of dollars. So there are some conversations that need to be had in the Republican flank to streamline the messaging on cost savings, not
do
cost
something
out.
on spending.
Well, does raising more revenue, Maura, perhaps put shine a more positive light on the president's current tariff policy that he's arguing is bringing more money into U.S. coffers? I just wonder how you view the other kind of pursuits of this administration factoring into this whole equation, in addition to what they want on tax policy.
If I were in the Trump White House, I would certainly tout that and point out how they are trying to bring in more revenue for the United States and for American companies and for our GDP, and looking at those tariff policies and talking about how they try to make things more fair and making sure that America is not at a disadvantage when it comes to our trading partners. Again, I have said several times about how to go about that from the get-go. I do think that there was a diplomacy element that was severely lacking, but at this current stage, it's an opportunity to leverage those that have already been secured, but it could also call into jeopardy some of the ones that are outstanding because of this decision, and also the budget deal kind of faltering here. They may be at a less strong position to negotiate with our allies and trading partners. So again, from a messaging perspective, I would certainly bring this up if I were the Trump team, but also as those economic advisors, they need to be thinking through, okay, what is plan B, C, and D?